Every guest on our show has to complete this sentence. Life is ...
Well, I feel like I should say something artistic. Life is a blank canvas. Colour it.
No one tells you what you're supposed to do.
Taylor Sheridan is a soulful acoustic singer-songwriter. He honed his craft growing up in regional Victoria and was shaped by that experience. He's shared the stage with some of the big Aussie music icons, Vanessa Amorosi, John Stevens, some of the absolute legends of Australian music scene. His latest song, When the Demons Come, shines a light on mental health and the challenges that come with it. Without doubt, this could be his best work yet. Taylor, great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Scotty. It's nice to be here.
Mate, growing up in regional Victoria, you can't help but be shaped by that experience. What was it like? How did it influence you?
For me, it was kind of everything, when you're a kid living in a town where you know literally everyone, everyone's family, everyone's story, and they know yours seemingly. You have a really firm community base from being a kid. Like, I think I was, I'm fortunate to have a twin brother actually, and I think we were babysat by every single person in that town. So, when you're kind of going through the ranks, from when you start school and high school and start going through all the sporting teams and all that sort of stuff, you've got people that have got your back automatically, that know who you are and watch you grow. So as far as shaping me, it makes you think that you're part of something a little bit bigger than just your individual success. So I grew up in Kyneton, Victoria, and, the place is kind of known for, it's a sporting town, it's a country footy town.
Yep.
You play footy, you play netball. I was pretty fortunate. As I said, I've got a twin brother who was incredibly good at sport. And I kind of, I was okay, but, I was never a standout, but I liked having him there to kind of, I can be like, well, I'm Mitch Sheridan's brother. So I kind of didn't have my own identity for, a little while until I started music.
Was he the biggest influence on you early, your brother?
Oh, for sure. When I was a kid, I actually didn't speak until maybe when I found animals, and that'll come into the conversation a little bit later, because I grew up on a farm. But with Mitch, he oozed charisma. He spoke for me when I was a kid. When people would say to me, "Oh, Taylor, how are you?" Mitch would jump in front of me because he knew how nervous I was, and he would talk and they're like, "No, I've seen videos," and they would say, "We're asking Taylor," and Mitch goes, "Yeah, but he doesn't like talking. I talk for him," and I found great comfort in that, and he was a massive part of who I was. He was a massive identity. I just did what he did. I followed the same sporting teams as he did. I liked the same colours as he did. His favourite number was my favourite number. All those sorts of things. And then we got separated at school. And at the time, speaking of trauma, that was up there. But looking back, it was one of the best things that could have happened to me. But yeah, he's still a huge influence on my life. Because I think for me, there's a kind of a weird thing about being a twin. Like you never feel completely sort of together until you're with them. Everything kind of doesn't really make sense. But when they're in the room, when they're close, everything slows down, because you learn how to walk with them, you learn how to talk with them, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, was it a good thing or a bad thing growing up in rural Victoria? We hear so much now about different challenges that a lot of the regional areas are facing, particularly around mental health, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. What were the positives and the negatives? Oh, I guess there's both.
Yeah, there's definitely both. The negatives, the negatives is it's like, you know, it is a small town, and sometimes you can get, you know, if you don't fit the mold, you can get pigeonholed pretty quickly or cast aside. You know, like what, you don't want to, you can't kick 30 meters. What do you mean?
That's what I wanted to know. So how did you become, you know, a musician in that sort of environment? Because I would imagine in a regional area, I think for anyone that wants to go down that arts pathway, it can be challenging. Was it a challenge?
Oh, for sure. And my dad come from really central Victoria, a little place called Donald, which is even smaller than Kyneton. And he was a great footballer. He was a farmer. He works, you know, he lives to work, you know. Yeah. So then when we came along, I think that was kind of the mentality that we've got to work towards something, and you've got to work hard. So I worked really hard at being an athlete because I thought that was what was the done thing, especially in our town. And like, it didn't come naturally to me at all. Where did it place me in the community? I'm really lucky that I had Mitch to kind of hide behind.
Yep.
Because you couldn't have one brother without the other. So when they would say, you know, the Sheridan boys, I could kind of lean on that. And, you know, I had good skills, but, you know, when it came to especially AFL, but man, on game day, I couldn't play to save myself. I had music pumping through my head through the game, you know, and there'd be people, you know, yelling stuff out at me. And I had really long hair because, like, you know, I wanted to be an artist during the week. I had really long hair. I'd have people yelling stuff out at me, and I go, I don't care.
You know, that's great. You know that
if I was on stage and people were saying those things, I'd be shattered. But like, to be like, you know, number 13, you missed that mark. Oh well, I'll try again next time. But where it put me in the community itself early on was like, it didn't necessarily cast me aside, but I just didn't feel like I was being truthful. And I can remember one time actually rocking up to footy training, and I said to my coach, it was under 15s, and I said, I can't play this weekend. And he's like, why? And I was like, I've got a singing competition.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise how silly it was until I was saying it to like my group of teammates and coach. And that was kind of when I knew that it's going to be difficult.
There's always that brave moment when you almost commit to a pathway. Was that the absolute moment for you where you went, you know what, singing, this is something that I want to pursue, or music, this is the pathway for me? Was it that moment, or was it another one?
It's probably another one for me. I knew that I wanted to be a singer from, like, you know, as I said, I didn't really speak as a young kid. I didn't really converse, just because I was so shy. But music, I got to hide, not hide behind music, but I got to find like maybe some solace and some friendship in music, because I understood it. I understood there's all these things that I didn't understand, whether it be school, whether it be why sport was so important to this small town. But like with music, I could sit there by myself and go, everything I need is coming out of those speakers. For me, the absolute, like, you know, and there's things that I look back on that I really kick myself. Like, I really wanted to do choir in year 7. And my mum and dad were going, like, you're doing it. Like, this is what you want to do. You're 12 years old. You know, you start early. If this is what you want to do, go down that route. And I remember for the choir, people that wanted to audition for it, you know, you could wear casual clothes. And in year 7, I was so nervous that I rocked up, I walked through the gates, and I went, I can't do this. This is social suicide. And I left, and I wagged the whole day because I just didn't think, you know, I was kicking myself. And I kick myself to this day. That's one thing that I really, really regret. And not that I have got regrets, but like just that I cared so much about what people thought instead of pursuing that thing that's in your heart, going like, this is what you want to do. This is what you're going to dedicate your life to.
There's a powerful message in that. If you could go back to, you know, that 12-year-old, what would you tell him now?
Oh, if I could, I'd just at least have someone say to him, whether it was me or whether it was someone, just like, this matters. Like, this matters. As much as you think that what those people are going to say about you, nothing is ever going to hurt you as much as you in 12 years' time looking back and going, I wish. No one could have said anything to me at that point. No one can say anything to me now than I've said to myself over the years from not going into that classroom.
Wow.
And now, you know, it's interesting because now when I make big decisions, or if I go on stage to all these people, or go into things that I don't feel really equipped for, I think, like, you owe it to that kid. You know, you owe it to that 12-year-old kid, because he's still in there. Like, I can still relate to him.
Yep.
You know, because he's that part of me that's like, it's raw passion and emotion. But that day, his brain got the better of him.
Wow. Main reason I wanted to get you on the show, you've got one, because every ex-AFL footballer, I think, actually wants to be a musician, or wish they could be a musician and do what you do. So I hope that makes you feel better. But
It does.
But there's a song that you've poured your heart and soul into in recent times, When the Demons Come. I've had the privilege of hearing it and actually being a part, or as it was sort of growing inside you in some ways, just hearing what it meant to you. It's something personal, isn't it, this song?
Yeah, for sure. I think every song that I've done, you have to view it from your own lens. And I knew I wanted to do something. I mean, every song that I try and write, I want a reaction in someone that's a little bit deeper than just like, oh, that's cool. You know, I want people to listen to the lyrics, or at least feel something in the music where they go, that's moved me, that's touched me. That's art. That's what art does. Art moves you. When I started writing When the Demons Come, a friend of mine, speaking of rural Victoria, a friend of mine from Kyneton, he was a couple of years older than me, and he kind of had everything. He had everything that I would have loved to have had when I was that age. Like, when I was 12, looking at him going like, oh, God, I wish I could kick like him. I wish I could speak to a crowd like him. You know, all those things. And years later, you know, to find out that this guy was suffering with huge mental health issues and went down this really negative rabbit hole just because he didn't talk, or didn't want to admit it because, you know, of what people might say. He said something. He did this for mental health. He did this big walk from Barron, Victoria to Melbourne, and he got back and he said something along the lines of, you know, there was a part of my life where I felt like I had two demons on my shoulders, and now going through it and trying to figure out at least how to keep them at bay. Now at night I can shut the door and make my own decisions, and, you know, they're always going to be there, but now I know when to listen and when not to. And I thought there was incredible power in that, because, like, you are your own worst enemy. Like, that's a fact. You know, your mind and your brain and your thoughts can do some pretty crazy things to you. So the first lyric, I picked up the guitar and I went, when the demons come and they're just no fun, but I'll greet them anyway. And I was like, that, to me, that was the sentiment of the song. Is like, they're always going to,
it's
they're
a
always going to be
phenomenal
there.
opener. The first time I heard it, it literally sent shivers down me. You know, obviously through the foundation where we do a lot of work with teenagers and young people, you know, mental health is such a growing challenge. I know you'll have a guitar somewhere near you. Can we hear those first few lines and maybe the first verse? Because the impact when I actually heard that the first time, it was, the only way I can describe it was just spine tingling. So I'd love for our listeners just to be able to hear
For
those
sure.
lyrics.
And I can even talk you through, you know, kind of how, because I've, you know, I think the thing with mental health is you overthink everything. And when I was in this space of sort of holding a mirror up to, you know, your own state of mind, where you're at. I overthought this song to the nth degree, but that one line always was there. That was never changed, because, you know, when the demons come and they're just no fun, but I'll greet them anyway. It's like they're always going to be there, but like trying to develop the tools, which LifeChanger does, trying to develop the tools on how you perceive them.
Mm.
Are they a friend or a foe? They don't necessarily have to be a foe. But so it started off. This is literally how it started. I picked up the guitar. I was with my girlfriend. I just finished going to this amazing event, and I just picked it up and went, when the demons come and they're just no fun, but I'll greet them anyway. Do you hear them coming, or just feel it in your bones? Like a rush of blood to your chest, and your head feels like a cannonball. Now that the party is over, you tell me you wanna stay. I close my eyes, hold my breath, and I'm hoping that the song goes away. Yeah, yeah. You're only here when I'm low, you're busy when I am high. I'm only strong as a man that says there's no use in trying. I'm not a friend to the fire, but I keep fanning the flame. I feel the heat on my back, it's taking over again. Now I'm too tired of fighting who I am, to take the power back and breathe again. There's nothing less you owe yourself, my friend. So when the demons come and they're just no fun, but I'll greet them anyway.
It's unbelievable, mate. It just evokes a feeling of the pressure that can build around someone, and particularly now in you know, obviously with what's going on in a global landscape and the pressure that all families are feeling and all people are feeling. I think the song has more relevance than ever. What do you want people to take from it when they hear it, when they feel it? What's your hopes for this song? I think it's such a powerful song for this time.
Yeah, I think for me, as I was saying before, Scotty, like when I was younger, sort of going through all those things, like, you know, where do I fit in? And maybe even back then when I was trying to find myself, there was a little bit of like, you know, whether it was like mental health, who knows, but sort of mental confusion. Like I would have liked then and still now a song that would articulate what it felt like what it feels like to go down the rabbit hole, what it feels like to free fall, what it feels like to self-doubt. What I was kind of hearing before that was kind of like, you know, you can do it, it's all going to be okay, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. But I wanted something that was like genuine, something that felt like a bit of a state of urgency, because when you're in it, like you know, you'll do anything to get out of it. But the way to get out of it, and that's the chorus, like the way to get out of it is like the way that you perceive it, the way that you look at it. So that's what I would like people to get out of it. I'd like people to sit there and it kind of if someone can hear this when they're feeling a little bit isolated, maybe a little bit low, doubting themselves in whatever capacity of their life, I would just like someone to hear this, to hear those crazy drums, to hear those violins, and just going like, everything that I have is enough. Everything I need in life, I have got here. Because we're inbuilt with everything. Everything that we've got, and that's what I've learned through this process of this song. Like, if anything, the self-healing and like all that sort of stuff through writing this song, that's what I've realized. It's like I've got everything I need right now. Everything I need to get me through the next 60 years of my life, I've got. It's how to access them, and you know, and that's why I'm so so passionate about LifeChanger is because like LifeChanger is the one is kind of going, well, here's some tools to, to scratch away some of those answers, because they're there, and that they're there. We've spoken about this a million times, but it's just trying to bring people aware of how to access those tools to, to live happy lives, because that's everyone deserves that.
It's a common conversation that we have with so many of the teens that we're working with, that you don't go into a classroom in a workshop, and it's not like you're gifting 12, 13, 14-year-old kids with something that they don't already have. It's just opening up a conversation so they can actually tap into that power that they have. So the line in there, take the power back, that is such an important message for teenagers at the moment that are going through challenging times, because they have that capacity that is there. And that's where I think the song does two things. One, it certainly evokes that feeling of pressure and challenge that builds around all of us, but it acknowledges that, but it also gives the person an understanding that you've got this, you are enough, and acknowledge that it's there, but you've got choices on how you can deal with it. I just think it's such an incredible song, mate. So I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think like with the chorus especially, like when we're in the studio talking about the production of it, it's all like, and you've heard it, it's all really drum heavy, it's quite fast. And when that chorus hits, it stops, because that was the moment where I wanted it to feel like, okay, enough is enough. I'm too tired of fighting who I am. That's the last thing you should be doing.
I think it's a hell of a song. People are going to get to hear it in a big way in the coming months. Every guest on our show has to complete this sentence: life is ...
Well, I feel like I should say something artistic. Life is a blank canvas. Colour it.
Oh, you said you were going to say something artistic. You certainly did that. Mate, it's been an absolute privilege getting to know you in recent times. I'm at times just watching you perform is such a joy, and that you've actually now taken that gift and actually crafted a song that is I think it's going to be so important for a lot of people. People take the time to really listen to the lyrics. I think there's something very special about this that will connect with a lot of people. So can't wait to see it unfold over the coming months. You are a star human being, mate, and it's a real privilege to have you on the show. So congratulations on a life well lived.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Scotty. And what you guys do is incredibly inspiring, and just to be a part of it, it's a real gift for me to bring something that, that I can sort of dedicate my time and life to, and then to bring it to LifeChanger and to be able to represent that in such a positive way. It's amazing. And everything that you just said to me, right back at you, mate.
Thanks,
very
mate.
Special.
You take care. We'll catch up soon.
Done deal. Thank you, Scotty.
Please remember, if you're ever in need of support, reach out to Lifeline or Beyond Blue. For more Inside Sessions, you can find us on all of the social platforms or at lifechanger.org.au. Thanks for joining us, and here's to a life well lived.
I don't think I'll ever, I don't think I'll ever, no.